Hi there, world changers. Welcome to day two, that's four fingers, day two of my series, 21 Days of Gamification. So what is this two lenses approach all about? Well, a lot of people want to change the world. They want to make the world a better place. We see problems that are happening around us. All of us who are involved in some sort of mission had a moment where we were inspired to get involved in that mission. But there's not really a structure or a technique about how to go about changing the world out there. The way that if you wanted to start a business or start a web application, you can find loads of books and courses on how to do this. But for us who want to stop pollution or save children's lives, we're kind of in the dark in how we go about it. So what I've seen happen over and over again, actually I've seen it happen most of the time in my 20 years experience in the environmental movement, is people just jump on board different types of projects or events or conferences or whatever things that they can be involved in. So they get busy doing all these different types of things, just like I did for a very long time. And then what people do is they make this mistake of conflating the effort they're putting into the cause to the effect they're having. So people might say, hey, we went to a protest and whoa, we put in all these hours, or I wrote this book, or I was involved in making this documentary, or I gave money to a cause, or I read all about all these articles on the internet. And they kind of think that their own time investment is actually measurable change, which is why I'm so passionate about bringing measurement to the center of your strategy, so you don't get caught up in this vice of just thinking that you're making a difference when you're actually not. So you really need to ask yourself this question, and also ask it of any not-for-profit or government department or eco-friendly world-changing product out there. You need to ask them this: where is the evidence that you're having a measurable effect on this cause? And when you ask this, some organizations will be making actually a powerful measurable effect on the cause, but you'll also find out a lot of projects and organizations and people are not making any difference whatsoever. And you don't want to be one of those people. Those people don't even want to be one of those people. So that's why we need to get to work using the techniques to make sure that we actually make change happen. Over the many years and the many projects that I've been involved in to do with environmental change, it finally distilled to me, after reading loads of books on behavioral psychology, as well as studying environmental engineering and being involved in Silicon Valley's computer hacking scene, that all problems could be essentially broken down into these two principles of measurement and behavior change. And we can see all problems through these two lenses. And that's what I mean by the two lenses approach. A lens is like a way or a style of looking at a problem. So we can look at our problem through the lens of measurement, in that every problem is measurable. We can get data on every problem. Some people will say that some problems just aren't measurable, but they actually are. Even things like love and happiness and well-being are also all measurable. And when you start digging into this data, you will really truly start to understand the cause. And then the other half, the second lens, is through the lens of human behavioral psychology. And this is our solution. So the first lens is data, that's the problem. The second lens is the solution. So we can see anything we want to do as problem and solution. We can see the entirety of our problem, of our cause, through the lens of behavioral psychology, because to change anything in the world, you need to get humans to do a thing. This is essentially our master lens of figuring out how we solve this problem. And we truly, absolutely need to understand the drivers of human motivation if we're going to get anybody to do anything at all. It doesn't matter if you're just trying to get people to litter less, or you're trying to get a judge to sign off on a bill, or you're trying to get people to sign petitions on legislation, or fundraising, or getting people to recycle more, or kids to eat their vegetables. We are all working with the principles of human behavioral psychology when we're trying to influence people. And once you get the hang of these basic behavioral techniques, getting people to do stuff is just like adding grease to the wheels. Once I started using these principles, it was incredible. People just loved the work I was doing. I was getting sent testimonials, photos of what people were doing in terms of how they were changing. They absolutely loved it. It created a happy approach because I wasn't using any negative psychology. It's truly absolutely powerful. And you really shouldn't be going about trying to change the world if you're not using these, because you will not be having anywhere near the amount of happy, positive, fun experience that you will be having if you do learn the principles of human behavioral psychology. And you know what's really sad is that hardly any organizations, even big not-for-profits, big government departments, are not using these. We don't get taught to think this way. And it was only through my experience of really learning the hard way and really, really trying to understand how we'd make change that it finally, after 20 years, really dawned on me to see problems this way. But that doesn't need to be you. You do not need to be trapped in the old school way of doing things that is really not actually making any measurable change. If you start going about your problem with the two lenses approach to your strategy, you'll start having really big wins. It's incredibly exciting and it will just unleash so much change and creativity and good emotions. I'm really excited for you to get started in tackling your problem this way. You want to ultimately grow into the type of social change entrepreneur who's not just sitting there being like, oh, it's so hard to change the world. Oh, it's just, the government and the big corporations' fault. Oh, nobody cares. All these kind of like excuses that everybody goes on about. You want to be the type of social change entrepreneur who gets up on stage and says, we cut down this problem by 30%. Here's what it was before we started, and here is what it is after we finish the project. You want to be able to apply yourself to any single project, any single cause, and cut it down by 50%, increase it by 200%. You want to start making these big changes. And so you can actually get up on stage and tell the world about the changes that you're making and have people applause. I've been in these type of events where people are using the right techniques and they're saying, hey, look how much we changed this cause. And people are so inspired and they're giving standing ovations and clapping and like, yeah, they're so excited to actually see change happen because we all want to see change happen in the world. But it has to be measurable and you have to understand the drivers of human motivation. So if you want to read the full article, The Two Lenses Approach to Solving Every Problem, you can get it on my website, katiepatrick.com/articles. I'll put a link in the description below. I've also narrated the full article on the podcast on iTunes, so you can check that out. It's called How to Save the World. And I would love to invite you to check out my video course called Save the World with Gamification. I'll put another link in the description below. It's easy to find on my website. It has 15 different gamification techniques, all centered around this measurement style of gamification that I teach, that I'm incredibly passionate about. I'm passionate about it because it works and because we're currently at a tipping point of change in the world where data is becoming this new resource that we can use. Now is the time for really getting stuck into this style of change. In each of the different 15 techniques, you'll get example designs, academic case studies, tutorials, and homework. Link is in the description below. Check it out. And I will see you tomorrow for gamification technique, or maybe it's a philosophy number 3.